Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend as we're going to recap everything that happened over the weekend. Of course, we'll get to your Alumni Hall question of the day. We'll have a little vibe checking of the chat presented by our friends at Basis Health. The best and worst of the weekend presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. We'll have some other headlines and storylines considering BetSaracen and looking at the special that they have going on there. And of course, talk football, basketball, baseball, everything that's going on. But fellas, how was the weekend? How's the Monday? How we feeling here at the beginning part of this incredible week in May?
Well, my weekend was great. I had an awesome time, man, and out on the beach with Michelle and everything going on there. So we had a really, really good time, and our travel back was, I mean, it wasn't perfect because we did have a delay on our first flight, and so we had to kind of like reschedule, like move one flight back for the connection home. But we knew well enough in advance to where it was just no big deal. So it was fairly smooth sailing getting home. It was good, man. The vibes are pretty strong, especially for a Monday. I thought for a minute when I woke up I was gonna have a case of it, but nah, man, I'm good. I'm chilling.
I like to hear that, Curtis. I like to hear that a lot. I'm glad that we both made it back safe, and yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm excited. My vibes are very good today, and I'm gonna try and keep that all week. But every time I travel, when I'm on my way back, I'm like, never doing this again. Literally never leaving my house again. Like, this sucks. And yesterday was a tough travel day. But no, back here, the weather is starting to be pretty good again. The vibes in life are starting to be good again. We're ramping up towards a fun time of year, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Andrew, how the trip to Baton Rouge did, other than the games themselves. But yeah, just kind of following along, I would say you've had better trips in your life. You've had more enjoyable travel trips in your life.
Definitely. Yesterday, I made the stupid mistake of saying I would go to my nephew's baseball game on Friday. And then when Sunday rolled around and it was like, all right, yeah, playing at 11 a.m. in Brobridge, I'm like, damn, this is a bad idea. So I like left later than I would have. And so I got back later than I would have. And it just did. I went from Brobridge, Louisiana to Monroe, Louisiana to see my mother, then to Arkadelphia to pick up Hillary, and then Fayetteville. It was long, but we made it through. And the Hogs won, which helped.
Yeah, they did win at least one. I know I guess they technically played, I wouldn't say, maybe not played. 2 games were on Saturday. One didn't get done till about 1 a.m., closer to 2. So that was crazy and weird, but Arkansas did lose that one in extras. And then they got run ruled in game 2, but did fight back for game 3, still holding on to possession of second in the SEC standings heading into the final regular season weekend. And yeah, I think that's just, it's funny because, Andrew, I know you with you doing Bombastic and just looking on social media, man. It's fun because you don't want to lose series. You want to win games. You can be frustrated and everything, but it's truly like people start to wonder and balancing, is this a concerning thing? Or should I be concerned about this? Or is it just SEC baseball? Or is it that LSU is so much better in Arkansas? Or did Arkansas just play really poorly? It's when you have a conference, when you have a team, when you have this time of year, it's just really hard to figure out what the team is and if they're good or if they're bad or if it's just the league and baseball and you got to chalk it up to that.
That's baseball, Susan. I mean, it's true though, man. And you could, depending on how you feel when you wake up in the morning, you could take all of this in whatever way you want. I mean, you could look at it and say, man, Arkansas has lost 4 out of 5 series, here. That's not great. That kind of stinks. Or you could be like, but they did sweep number 1. So I feel great about that. Or you could say, well, damn, man, they got run ruled, on Friday or Saturday. You never want to see that, man. That sucks. Or you could do the thing where you're like, they were like 1 play away on Friday from taking the series down there. So there's a million different ways you can spin it. But at the end of the day, I think if you just step back and look at the full body of work and where Arkansas is, where they stand, it would hard to be too upset. It would be difficult to be too upset about what's going on right now. I think they're just fine.
Yeah, I think when you go into a weekend like this, because going into this Baton Rouge series, we all kind of felt, I think I said on the show last week, this might be a College World Series finals preview. Like both of these teams have that type of ceiling, have that type of roster, have that capability, have coaches that can get you there. And I think Arkansas, it would not stun me at all if we saw this team again in the postseason. And I think that's, anytime you're going into a series like this, you want to make that statement. You want to make it clear. You want to shore up any concern, because you go out there, like when you sweep Texas, it's really hard to come away being like, all right, I'm super concerned. If Arkansas had gone out there and found any way to get that series win, it would have been really hard to complain at all. Arkansas comes up just shy on Friday night, get their penises pushed in on Saturday, which is a tough one, a game that just kind of got away from them, and Arkansas kind of punted on it pretty early there, as we see a lot of these teams do. We talked about that was the run rule thing, where we're like, would Arkansas get run ruled or whatever? They got run ruled. But I think that's the thing, is like when you look at when you play a team that is going to be there at the end or has a chance to be, you want to beat them to just give you that confidence. And so if Arkansas faces LSU in the postseason, of course, we're not going to be as confident as maybe we were coming in the weekend, or maybe would have been. But ultimately, I think my faith in the team and my understanding of what they're capable of and what I think they can do hasn't changed a ton. I mean, hell, Arkansas went into the weekend second in the SEC. They come out of the weekend second in the SEC. They went into the weekend fifth in RPI. They come out of the weekend fifth in RPI. It really not much happened from that standpoint. But I think anytime you lose, and especially the way Arkansas lost on Saturday, I mean, of course you're going to be upset. I think it was important for Arkansas to bounce back, kind of get salvage something, but also you just don't want to leave Baton Rouge with such a negative. Holy cow, we got swept first time all year. You have all these big questions. So I would say it's, Arkansas's not as bad as they looked on Saturday, but you lose the series against LSU and you just have to face the music there. But I'm surprised by how many people jump to the conclusion of like Arkansas is going to choke in the regional. Because I think if I were going to come away from this weekend being mad about or like having a big concern, I would say, man, Arkansas's lost to, a team like Georgia, a team like Florida who's super hot, an LSU team. Like these are three teams that we think have a chance to make a run. So I would be coming away saying, hey, how does Arkansas really match up with some of these elite teams? And that's a very fair question, and one we could sit here and talk about. But in terms of like, is this team good? Does this team have the capability of going far? I think we're very far away from phoning it in from that front.
Yeah, people are just going to see, you sweep Texas, so therefore you're great again, and then you come back and you lose the series to LSU. They're like, oh no, that was fraudulent. We suck. I think people just try to overthink it way too much and try to look in. I know this is in every sport, but in a microcosm of, okay, well, this series meant this, and then this series meant that. And I saw somebody tweet out about, well, Arkansas has lost 4 of their last 5 series in the SEC. It's like, okay, yeah, if you say it in that way and you look into that lens, it sounds like, oh man, they must be terrible. They're playing their worst. But then you don't feel that way. I think D1 Baseball had them drop to 8th in the polls today. Baseball America has them at 9. I think LSU jumped up to number 1 in the country. But, you've had some teams that, just kind of go through it. And I'm taking the approach, at least I'm trying to, because we'll talk a lot about Tennessee this upcoming weekend. I know, but I'm taking the approach of like, hey, get to the postseason. Let's just see what happens. Kind of like with basketball. Just get there. And then we can talk about it. Then we can start being concerned. Then we can do all that. But just get there. Be nice to be a national seed. To be nice to host a regional. Have that happen. But let's roll the dice and see how these Hogs are ready to roll by then.
Dude, for a lot of folks out there, that approach that you just said was like, that's what they were doing coming into the year. Like, let's just get to the postseason and see what happens there, because that's all anybody really cares about. It's like, hey, this is all cool. Regular season struggles, regular season success. Yeehaw. Let's get back to Omaha. Right. And I think, this is a team that's obviously in good position to be able to do exactly that. And Andrew, man, ever since you said it, I was really thinking about it, and then watching the games over the course of the weekend. You might be right about this being kind of destined for a matchup in Omaha. LSU, they're pretty good, man. I mean, it kind of surprised me yesterday, because usually, like Arkansas, for example, like Vital Cheese gets chased there early, but they just throw arm after arm after arm. Like the bullpen was awesome yesterday. LSU did the same damn thing. Like you get that dude out of there, and it's like, oh, here's some guy who comes in and he's a freshman, but he throws 108, and oh, here's a 6'6" lefty that throws 99, and it's just one guy after another. That was like a Clash of the Titans type of deal. It was a really, really fun series to watch, outside of obviously Saturday there. But you're 100% right. Like it got to a point where you could tell they were like, all right, let's get this over with. Let's kind of save some of the guys for tomorrow, and we'll be all right. And hell, at the end of the day, at least you're not an Aggie. You know,
Man.
your season could have effectively ended this weekend, like it did for them, and it didn't. So it could always be a hell of a lot worse, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams Arkansas would not want to trade places with, but one of the teams that Arkansas would want to trade places with is probably LSU. And I think when you look at LSU and Arkansas and you kind of compare them and really just look at LSU, I mean, you have two of the top 4 starting pitchers in the country in terms of strikeouts. You have two of the top 3 innings pitched guys in the SEC. There is a lot of stability with those frontline arms of LSU. Like LSU baseball just has a very high floor, and that's something that Arkansas fans desperately want. That's what we've talked about all year. The starting pitching. Does Arkansas have the frontline starting pitching to win and go all the way? Of course, Zach Root, by the way, we should mention, pitched really well Friday. You could argue he outpitched Cade Anderson. I think on paper he really did. And so you feel good about that. But of course, doesn't go the way Gage Wood wanted to. He did not look as electric as he looked the last couple of weeks. And as we've said a lot of times, when these guys pitch well, you see kind of what they're capable of, and you're like, holy cow, this guy's electric. When Christian Fouch pitches the way he does yesterday, you're like, holy cow. Of course, this is a guy that can close games for you. But when your best pitchers don't pitch well, it's very easy to have all these conversations. But I think what you saw on Sunday was Arkansas had just a few more arms in terms of depth than LSU, because they were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel there in those last few innings. And it was with really talented arms, but it was with guys that they haven't thrown in SEC play. It's funny because Chase Shores, who threw really well for LSU yesterday, he is the Christian Fouch for them, where their fans look at him and he throws 100, and when he sucks and he gives up 400-foot home run or whatever, people are like, why do we pitch this kid? I just don't understand. But he got some huge outs for them yesterday, and so it's just fascinating to see these two teams kind of compare. When you look at them from a big picture standpoint, I think LSU is realistically, like when Arkansas lost the series to Georgia, I remember saying, like, if Arkansas played this team in a series again, would I feel confident? And I would. LSU is the one team where I think they have better starting pitching than everybody. I think they're super well-rounded. Like, I think Arkansas is better than them in some areas, but there's not a huge gap anywhere. LSU is probably the one team that I look at on paper and I'm like, man, Arkansas really doesn't match up well with them. Florida's not a good matchup, but if Arkansas faced them, I would still feel pretty confident. You saw, obviously, Arkansas matches up well with Texas. I think some of these other teams like Auburn, Vanderbilt's a team that Arkansas swept, but I look at LSU and, like, they are kind of the one team where I'm like, would not love to see them in the postseason, but it still doesn't change the way I feel about Arkansas versus 353 teams or whatever it is. I still think Arkansas's got a good chance, but it just sucks to see a team that kind of has what you want. And LSU, when they're playing at home and when you have those starting pitchers rolling, they look pretty damn good and pretty damn unbeatable. But this is also an LSU team that lost to Texas A&M. Like, they got swept by Auburn. Like, they've kind of had their ups and downs too. And so with all these teams, when you catch them on the right day, you look at it and you're like, man, they've got the hitting, they got the pitching, and Arkansas's had plenty of those days. Like, let's be real. But when you're in a series like this, when you're against the best of the best, the margin for error is very small. And on Saturday, we saw that in a big way. Like, if you don't show up ready to roll, you're not locked in. You can get blown off the floor. And Arkansas has done that to a lot of teams this year. And so I think if Arkansas faces LSU in the postseason, we'll be a little bit concerned. But there's really not many teams that I look at and I'm like, man, I would want to trade places with them. Man, I'm glad I wish we were them. Like, I look around at a lot of these teams that, and I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind seeing those teams in the postseason.
Yeah, you're in as good a position as anybody. I mean, it's truly that way. You're in as good a position of anybody, and you got one final regular series left. And I know we'll get into the chat, but I did want to ask this as part of our Alumni Hall question of the day presented by Alumni Hall, which, by the way, we're going to be there this Friday. This Friday at noon, we will be live at Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. So stop by and come hang out with us. It's always a great time. We love when we do shows over there because not only are we surrounded by Razorback stuff and really cool stuff, but we always have a great amount of people that come out and say hey to us. And if you use that code HOGSBY20, you get 20% off your purchase when you come see us. And they're going to have everything in stock. You're talking about jerseys, hats, polos, everything for the summertime, all the highest apparel that you could possibly want with that Razorback on it. So come check us out on Friday, live from Alumni Hall from 12 to 2 here on Inside Arkansas Live. Because honestly, Razorback baseball, they still got regular season, still got the SEC tournament. But shout out to Razorback softball. They got the highest seed ever in the postseason play in their history at number 4. They get a national seed, and they're going to be facing off against St. Louis. While also having Oklahoma State and Indiana in their regionals. So shout out to them. So I just wanted to ask, since, where it's at right now, to my knowledge, I'm sure somebody will tell me, but Arkansas has never been to the College World Series in softball. They've been there in the supers and everything, but they have not been there. We know Arkansas baseball has been, but just right now, where it stands, who do you have more confidence in, or which team is more likely to make their College World Series? Is it going to be Arkansas baseball, or is it going to be Arkansas softball? Well, needless to say, the results do not surprise me because we all live in the moment. But as of right now, 52% of you say Razorback softball is more likely to make the College World Series. And I'm not saying that, I mean, both of them are going to make the College World Series, for crying out loud. And it wouldn't surprise me, but just what's more likely, pretty dead even, but a little bit edge there to Razorback softball.
Well, it's tough because you already see the path there for Razorback softball. You have no idea what it's going to look like for baseball just yet, and that conversation might change. I would lean baseball because as soon as I tweeted out congratulations to the softball team, everybody was in my mentions going, "It's a brutal region, shut the hell up." I'm like, okay, Oklahoma State, or I don't know, Indiana maybe, like there's a former player, I don't know, but everybody was on that, like, oh, Arkansas got screwed, and like you always get a level of that. No matter what the draw would have been, people would have been like, oh, dude, no, that's crazy. All right, they got screwed. But as convicted as people were about it, it's like, maybe they did. Maybe they did actually get a really rough draw here. And so we'll see what that looks like. I know a lot of people were ticked off. I think it was like Alabama's got, pretty cakewalk situation there. And but for a 4 seed, it sounds like they kind of got the business. And with that in mind, without knowing baseball's draw, I'll go baseball, but softball team's good, man. This is just, again, this is the year to capitalize, in my opinion. It just seems like it's inevitable with Courtney Deifel that they're eventually going to get over the hump, and you've got the best player in the sport this year. So if you're going to do it, it's time to do it. I really thought that they were going to get over the hump against Oklahoma the other day in the SEC tournament, and we saw how that wound up going down at the end there, but they at least proved that they can play with them. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was interesting with the softball because I had the same reaction seeing everybody where I'm like, oh wow, everybody's really adamant about this, and I'm like, I'll take you guys' word for it. Like I have not watched any Indiana. Oklahoma State we know has a good program because I know they were in Oklahoma City whenever Arkansas played there a few years ago. So I'm sure as getting a storied program like that as a 2 seed probably isn't great. And so I'll take everyone's word. It seems like it is a tough regional, and I think that's part of why I'm also going to go baseball. I will say, I think both teams are making the College World Series in their respective sports. Courtney Deifel is, like you said, the stars are kind of aligning. It's all lined up. This is their best team they've ever had, highest ranking they've ever had. I think they get it done and they get to Oklahoma City. The reason I say baseball, I'm a little bit more confident is because this one win that Arkansas got this past weekend may have clinched Arkansas a national seed. Now, they probably should go ahead and get one more against Tennessee just to make sure. But if Arkansas is playing at home for 2 weekends, with the way that they played at home this year, I feel like, and really most years, obviously, I feel Arkansas is gonna beat bad teams at home. What's weird about, and I texted you this, Curtis, yesterday, last year's Arkansas team was like built to beat good teams, but was susceptible against bad teams, and that's kind of how we saw it play out. Right. I think this Arkansas team this year, like they crush cans. Like they do not lose to teams that they are worse than for the most part. Like if there's a big gap in competition, like they usually lay the smackdown. We have some questions about how will they match up with elite teams, and that's completely fair. You don't have to play elite teams in the first 2 rounds of this tournament. And so I'm pretty confident Arkansas is going to get back to Omaha, and we'll see how they shake it out. But like I said, both of these teams are going.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I feel too. I would be, of course, if you go to in baseball, it's always a big deal, and you want to aspire to more of that. But I think we would talk about Dave needing to win it all and how he deserves that, and he, just for his sake and for what he wants, that needs to happen. But same with Courtney Deifel and just going to the World Series, because I mean, what program she had to take over and the success that she's had, obviously having arguably, of course, I don't even think it's arguably, but the best player in college softball on her team. I mean, this is the way it needs to be. They need to go to not Omaha, Oklahoma City, which I guess you can't really do Omaha Hogs is a cool thing. I don't know if they could do an OKC
Oklahoma
Hogs, Oklahoma City. I don't know, man. Like I'm sure the marketing department over there will think of some fire response to that. But yeah, it's time though.
Don't they have they're matched up with Arizona for a super? Is it, and didn't that just happen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's tough, but that also kind of makes it perfect. It's kind of poetic a little bit. It's like a video game. You have to face that final boss. You got to face it until you can beat it. But you mentioned, John, how Courtney Deifel, we hate to say things like deserve, but it does feel like, she's put a lot of goodwill in. This was not no damn overnight fix, as Chad Morris would say. She had to build this thing from the ground up, and it wasn't like it's one thing to like, hey, you enter a bad situation and then you flip it and make it good. She had to be bad. Like they had a couple rough years there where she had to kind of just eat the bowl of shit for a while and kind of worked her way up, and they steadily climbed to the point of being a respectable SEC team. Now all of a sudden they're an SEC team that's beating other SEC teams. Now all of a sudden they're hosting regionals. Now all of a sudden they're a national seed. Like, it's been a gradual buildup. It's not terribly dissimilar from what Dave Van Horn did at Arkansas 20 years ago, frankly.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. And that'll be pretty chaotic, but pretty fun if and when both teams make it to their respective College World Series, because it'll be a lot of excitement surrounding everything there too. But they got to get the job done. They got to get to that point. So
I do have to give a shout out to the Billikens of St. Louis for being in there. Didn't really know that their softball program was a thing over there, but just because my family in St. Louis and everything, I knew that there was a period of time there, a long period of time where SLU baseball was really, really good. Like, they were making regionals, they'd bump people every now and again, or whatever. But my former AD at Lindenwood, when our school closed, she went over to St. Louis University and was an assistant AD over there, like overseeing the softball and some other stuff. I don't know if she's still there or not, but if she is, she might be in town. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the Fighting Rick Majurises, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's what they are now. Pretty good athletic department over there in St. Louis.
Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad.
Where is the campus of I know it's in St. Louis, but like, where in St. Louis is the campus?
Right in the thick of it, man. Yeah, down there in the city. Yeah, it's actually a really, really nice campus, and where they play basketball, Chaffetz Arena, is really cool. I haven't been to their baseball, softball facilities, but it's a nice campus. It's
What's the name of that little circle that's right there? Or there's like a street that's like a popular street that's like right by St. Louis's campus. Or maybe I'm getting it confused with Washington U.
Well, Forest Park is kind of down there. The Delmar Loop is down there.
Delmar Loop. That's what I was looking for.
That's a funky place, man. It's a good time.
I spent the time there. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, and we'll get into your chats, folks, because I know there's a lot of things to talk about. We'll have some Razorback basketball things going on, but also some Razorback football and a very interesting clip that's going around that I know we'll want to dive into. But let's go ahead and jump into the chat and do a little vibe check presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is provided and delivered with mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for all of your urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, everything that you could possibly want coming to your house, making it easier on you. That's what Basis Health is all about, where they are here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. All right, so getting into a few of your chats here, folks. This comes from Clinton. He says, my question is pitching. Isn't pitching about consistency? Isn't it getting a little late to not know what we're getting or we're going to get on the mound? Root seems about it right now.
I mean, yeah, it's you certainly, pitching is about consistency. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to have the formula. And, we talk about it a lot that you go into the year and you're using 12 to 15 arms. Once you get into June, that shrinks to about 6 to 8 real quick. Some of the best teams we've seen in college baseball don't have this long grocery list of arms that they use. And so for Arkansas, it's a little bit weird because they have the long grocery list. We just wonder, like, hey, where do you cut it? We've had so many different guys where we're like, hey, they could maybe be in. And that's why all year I've been talking about the circle of trust, because ultimately you have to have that circle of trust when you go into the postseason. And Arkansas has a lot of candidates. And it's just a matter of, will they find the right roles? One thing I would say is that if you talk about the pitching staff from a big picture standpoint, the starting pitching is the consistency that you're talking about that you're kind of lacking along with some other teams. Arkansas does have a lot of consistency in the bullpen. Arkansas has been the number one bullpen in the SEC throughout all of SEC play. It's what allowed them to salvage that series on Sunday. And on Friday, that bullpen that's been very good in the SEC, led by Aiden Jimenez, who's been one of the best arms in the SEC from a bullpen standpoint. He had his first bad outing of the year. And so it's unfortunate. It's bad timing. And that's why Arkansas lost the series. I'm not trying to put it on Aiden Jimenez, but that's kind of the situation we're in. And so a lot of people kind of looked at that and they were like, so does that mean our bullpen sucks? Does that mean Aiden Jimenez, we can't use him? And I'm just like, does that mean DVH is an idiot for using Aiden? And it's like, none of those things are true. It just, in this moment, that's what happened. I think Gabe Gackel's emergence And the fact that he's starting to look a lot more like that Gabe Gackle we know and love has to make you feel pretty good, along with some guys like Fouch. Coyle came back. Gibbler looked really good yesterday. Dylan Carter, how many weeks in a row are we just going to be like, Dylan Carter, can't believe how good he's been? And then it's like every week he just gives Arkansas 2 scoreless innings. That's really good stuff, man. And so it's like there is consistency on this pitching staff. You just kind of need to hammer down the roles. You need Gage Wood to really kind of be that number 2 guy. I wonder if they're going to make a move at Game 3 with Landon Beidelshees.
I was getting ready to ask you that question too, because
Yeah, my favorite thing is because we know how, of course, speaking of Beidelshees just randomly, but how my guy Matt Moscona was asking on Saturday. He's like, so who's going to be the pitcher on Game 3? And I texted him Beidelshees. How do you pronounce that? I was like, it's like, don't worry, I got you, man. Got you. I had to say it a few times, but yeah, they may be making a move there, which I don't think anybody would be up in arms against. It's just, hey, you gotta take care of business, and you know what you're getting with certain starters, and making because some people will be like, oh, making the move this late in the season's bad. No, making the move this late in the season means you're trying to win, and that's what's most important.
I spoke about it a little bit yesterday on the pod. I did like a late night. I was running on fumes, but cranked out a pod, and like I have no idea what I said on there. But one of the things I do remember saying is I've been a guy all year long. People, because when Aiden Jimenez, it's funny that everybody now is like, why is Dave using Jimenez? Because earlier in the season, like 3 weeks ago, everyone was like, why is Aiden Jimenez not the Game 2 starter? Like people were like up in arms about it. And I kept saying, well, I think he's too valuable in the bullpen to move to the starting rotation. Not that I'm not saying he's not valuable in the bullpen now, but now with Gabe Gackle being Gabe Gackle, with Cole Gibbler being Cole Gibbler, Fouch, all those guys I just listed, along with, by the way, Hunter Dietz. Good to see him. Now I feel like Aiden Jimenez, like he can now leave knowing that the kids have it. The kids can handle it here in the bullpen. I can now go do my job in the starting rotation. I think now actually might be the perfect time to make that move. But really, I think if Gage Wood pitches the way Gage Wood is capable of, it puts a lot less pressure on that Game 3 spot. And ultimately, like I said, Arkansas has the bullpen arms to kind of piece it together.
Also, too, I'll tell you what, since somebody in the chat, we'll go ahead and bring this up because Cajun Razorback was talking about how Andy Staples just tweeted out a clip from a show about the report saying Arkansas receiving room went to the coaching staff and said if Taylor Green didn't leave, they were out. Okay, well, Curtis had put this clip in here. I haven't listened to it, to be honest. I just saw the have you had a chance to listen to it yet, or is this going to be all fresh for all of us?
Well, that's why I muted myself for a minute, but I was listening to that in my left ear and Andrew in my right, so I only caught some of it, but that was essentially said. So I'm anxious to hear it here.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hear what this is from On 3 and Andy Staples.
One of the plays you sent us is Arkansas under 5.5 wins, which, look, Sam Pittman is perpetually on the hot seat. Interestingly enough, because I know the Arkansas fans, and I'm sure, Colin, this is a pretty frequent topic of discussion in that cutthroat Arkansas sports radio market.
Yeah.
I think he has to go 4-8 for the buyout to drop to 50% instead of 75. But you only got to go 5-7 for this to cash. That schedule's brutal.
Yes. Yeah. I think the good feelings with Sam Pittman are over for the fan base. It's not for me. Since we see Sam at the beginning of the season and you talk with him off camera and off microphone, he's like the greatest guy in the world. But, he had medical issues last year. He was doing practice from a cart. He's pretty hands-off with the team, and he allows his coordinators to do their job. The transfer portal, there was some stuff with Miles Slusher a couple of years ago that really internally was bad. But let's talk about this team, like numbers-wise. Project 4.7 on them, a little bit over 56% experience. The wide receiver, I think what people don't know about this team is that the wide receiver unit came to Bobby Petrino and Sam Pittman after the season and said, Taylor Green's got to go or we're out of here. And that might be breaking news to everybody, but this is exactly what happened. Isaiah Satania went to OU. Luke Haas, the tight end, left. He was never getting any balls. He left and went to Ole Miss. Andrew Armstrong declared for the draft, and Isaac Tesla got picked up by the NFL.
So he told on himself right there at the end. You kind of had me for a while. Once you started listing those specific names, whom we know, and we know their decision to enter the portal had nothing. Like Luke has, we talked about his portal a lot. Never at any point where we like, yeah, he went to Taylor Green, and if that were true, I'm not saying we're the best reporters of all time. Somebody would have heard about that. That did not happen.
Who is that guy?
I don't even know. I think it's let's see. I can probably find out who. Is it Colin? Is that the guy's name? Colin Wilson, I believe.
Okay. I mean, I had to look into that some, but that's I mean that's interesting.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, it's Colin Wilson of Action Network. He is also he has a hashtag WPS in his Twitter profile, so he's an Arkansas guy. They're just throwing it. Okay, I don't know. I haven't heard of that guy. So, anyways,
he cited Andrew Armstrong declaring for the draft as like a Taylon Green thing. Andrew Armstrong played 9 years of college football. Like he was going to go to the draft.
He was done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Half the guys he mentioned were done there. The Satania has who else left?
I mean,
Desmond James, Davion Dozier, but it's like guys who weren't playing.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like it's funny because I'm like, what receivers return? Like Jordan Anthony went in there and was like, I'm sticking to track. If Taylon Green, like what Arkansas receivers returning had the leverage to say anything? I don't know why he would go on a national platform and say that.
I don't either,
dude.
Yeah, I don't either because for the reasons you guys mentioned too, but I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that there wasn't times where Taylon Green made mistakes. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day just about the deal with I think it was against LSU or Tennessee. Whenever it was like Isaac Sessler was just sitting in the end zone by himself, deep, like stuff like that. I mean, he obviously made mistakes, but yeah, I have a hard time believing that all these wide receivers, especially the ones that were leaving anyways, be like, I'm leaving because I have to, but also I'd leave anyways because Taylon Green. I just don't know if I buy that element to it, but there is something to be said about, the wide receiver room and how you're having to change it all up. And also too, guys, as we know, last year going into last season, the wide receiver room was all retained, which was almost like a surprise because you had a whole new offense coordinator, you had a new wide receiver coach, you had the portal that was open. They could have done whatever they wanted to do, but all the wide receivers stayed. They wanted to be there. And obviously Armstrong had a great season and everything. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I buy all of that, but at the same time, there's no telling what people say and being sour grapes about anything these days.
Yeah, I get the hunch here that, I'm sure there are times where every receiver is frustrated with their quarterback. Just like I promise you, there were times where Taylon Green was frustrated with some of his receivers. With the lack of separation, the drops, there's that stuff works both ways. But everybody has their own individual reasons for doing the things that they do. And I have a really hard time believing that all the pass catchers just, huddled up and they stormed the facility to Bobby Petrino and they're like, he's out or we're out. And then they're like, you're out. So I don't know, man.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like the truth is always somewhere in the middle. Like I'm sure, and like to your point, like if we want to have the conversation of like, hey, is Taylon Green even good at football? Is it great playing for him, for being a wide receiver, with him as your quarterback? I'm sure there's plenty of frustration there, just because we've talked about Taylon Green. We can have that whole conversation. So it's not one of those things where it's like they either had a mutiny or everyone loves playing for Taylon Green. Like there could be a ton of frustration. There could be a ton of guys who maybe secretly don't love playing with Taylon Green. Like, you could sell me on that. The idea that they went into the coach's office and were like, it's him or us. Like, come on, you lost me. You lost me there. Right there at the end, you lost me.
Well, the beauty of this is that now that question is almost assuredly going to get asked. It won't be until fall camp, but the first time Pittman's available and then the first time Bobby's available, it's going to be like, yo, did this happen? So,
And I'm sure
they'll just like call it absurd or whatever, but wouldn't it be funny if Bobby was like, yeah, man,
well,
that's crazy.
I see everyone in the chat being like, well, Taylon is pretty inaccurate. He is. And this is why misinformation is dangerous because you have someone say something, what I'm going to declare as false. And now you have a bunch of people viewing in this situation completely differently. And now you have a fan base over here that's like, you know what? Taylon actually does kind of suck. And it's like we're having a conversation that we just did not need to have. And we can't have it if you want, but it's like, we can agree that Taylon Green has his deficiencies. The wide receiver room did not have a mutiny where they all left because of him. Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah. Well, even the situation with like an Isaiah Satania, like I look at it as like, okay, so you're telling me that he's like, I'm out, or if you have to get rid of Taylon Green, but he's like, you know what? But I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to Oklahoma. and I'm going to go to a place where there's not really any quarterbacks that really know what's going on there. Like, I'm just going to go there and make that happen. Like, I just have a hard time believing that Oklahoma was the answer, like where they have their own issues, stuff like that. So either way, it's just stuff that gets thrown against the wall, see what sticks. But
yeah, I would say, where'd it go? Raw Hog says probably the only mistake was him saying it was the entire wide receiver room. Yeah, like, could you sell me on one guy just walking in and being like, hey, this, or even two guys, just saying, look, man, like, I just feel like he's not seeing me, or like what's the plan here? Nah, I don't think this is for me. Maybe, yeah, but the mutiny thing, Andrew, like you were saying, I don't know, man, and I don't know this gentleman who said that and like his sources and everything. So I don't just want to be like, this guy's an idiot. I'm not saying that at all. I have no idea who he talked to, who he heard that from. But I'm sure there was probably some context there that needs to be provided that maybe he will, the next time he's interviewed by those guys or something.
This is the game of telephone here. I absolutely think there's, especially because like when the players that he listed off, like a lot of them we can check off, like Andrew Armstrong, obviously not one of those guys. Isaac Tesla, obviously not one of those guys. Luke we know a lot about his situation and how that all went down. Taylon Green's name was not involved. Luke was not protesting Taylon Green when he left, and that's a whole separate situation. Satania is the one name that I don't have anything to say for, where I'm like, no, there's no way he didn't leave because of Taylon Green. But yeah, that's kind of where I said, like, he had me up until the very, very end when he started throwing those other names where I was like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fascinating approach. But who am I to say about what certain people have heard inside the programs and talking about them and relaying messages to the masses? Who am I to even discuss something like that? But
we've lost the plot on the chat, by the way. Like, it's completely that video was a lightning rod, bro. We have completely lost the chat.
Well, then I also see it's rolling in so quick that I'm losing my place. James said, what did he say after that stopping point? We don't know because we're live right now, and that was just the clip that they put out. Yeah. But like I said, I mean, maybe there's more context at the end there or something. I don't know, but he said what he said. I mean, the words came out of his mouth that we played there. So what happened after that, I don't know at this time.
Well, context is important, and hopefully they provide some, because sometimes you idiots just always take things out of context.
Yeah, sometimes you just hear words and you take them for what they are.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone has an action and there's a reaction that makes sense to it, and then
sometimes it's the newest
provide context, and then it still is taken out of context. It's hard to do that.
That does happen too. Yeah.
It is one of those things. It's the newest thing that everyone has to deal with, I guess, nowadays. So, but interesting clip there from that. Let's see. We got a few of your chats too. Student section says, after seeing how Tesla was treated in game and never getting targets, I don't blame these receivers for wanting a new guy.
I think student section is obviously like
trolling.
He's making a joke a little bit. He's one of our resident. He's one of our merry pranksters in the chat. Yeah. But no, and that's what's funny about it is like him saying that now we're having this conversation, and so now it's like a thing of like, so y'all are saying Taylon Green's good? It's like, no, that's not even what we're saying. Like we've lost it.
Well, I do, and we're gonna forever be able to have that Isaac Tesla hindsight conversation after what happened at the combine and the draft for him. It is always going to be, like a black eye on whoever you want to put it on, Taylon or Sam Pittman or like whoever. It's like, oh, you had this guy who was clearly NFL franchise. Look at the Lions; they're one of the best franchises in the league, and you couldn't get him the ball, and you didn't identify his talent. You started brooding over him. So it's just like another notch in the belt for anyone who wants to hate about it.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Taylon Green didn't make the depth chart, man.
Exactly, man.
Yeah. Not only that, but
you didn't put him in the slot either. So.
And I'm not saying and trying to make this comparison, but people are going to take it. But it's still like there's great head coaches in college football that have either had a phenomenal player on their roster, either didn't know what to do with them, or they transferred out. You didn't have them, whatever it is. I mean, it happens. Like you have guys like Kyler Murray was on Texas A&M, Baker Mayfield, someone like that. Not trying to compare, but I'm just saying even great coaches sometimes have players where they just go on to have great pro careers or end up flourishing a lot more after college. It doesn't mean that, he's like, wow. I mean, people think about Cliff Kingsbury. How could he not play Baker Mayfield at Texas Tech? It's like, well, sometimes things happen. Like it just, great coaches sometimes have those players that move on and go elsewhere. It's just the way it is. So, but don't tell that to anybody else. And that
was interesting though.
It was very interesting.
We needed that on this Monday.
We definitely needed it for sure. That was good stuff.
Yeah. So appreciate the content. It's always good when people say other things and get everybody fired up. Let's see. Also, shout out to our guy Quinn. Appreciate the super chat. Resident Auburn fan says we are now up to 7 series wins. Number 2 in the RPI, number 1 strength schedule. War Eagle, y'all had a good bounce back yesterday to not get swept. Yeah, I think Auburn was what, 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in there in the rankings. So,
man. Quinn, we were trying to summon you on the show Friday after that 24-2 that you guys put on them Cocks, man. That was crazy. That's a nasty word.
I mean, hell, man,
that's Colorado Rockies type stuff right there.
Yeah, and so I mean, look, it's cool to see all these other SEC teams having great years, man. But Auburn, I think they clinched up a national seed. I would say.
Yeah, probably so.
And that LSU team that Arkansas just faced, Auburn swept those cats. So how about that, man? But
when we were, I was just gonna say when we were in Auburn, John and I, it was very, very early in baseball season. I mean, it was February still, but I remember Auburn was playing Troy at home, and they were like struggle bussing. It was weird because like Troy at the time was ranked and Auburn wasn't. We were kind of sitting at that little establishment there where John was sweating from them wings, and we're like low key making fun of Auburn. It's like, damn, man, they were really good a couple years ago, and they've really turned it on, man. So kudos to them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the SEC, and sometimes you just have those teams that come out of nowhere, and at this point in time, playing your best baseball, but they're playing really good. So shout out to you, Quinn, and we'll see how it happens, and see if how many teams from the SEC get to Omaha. Also, all right, Quinn. Super Chat says, John, I have your back when it comes to Chuck and Bo. If you need someone to give them an earful, I'll fly to Arkansas just to do that. Quinn, if there was ever anything you've ever said to me that I 100% believe, it's this. I feel like you 100% would do that. But thank you. I think I can take care of it myself.
We're good.
Appreciate you.
Leave them guys alone, man. That was last week's news. So
yeah.
We're over it.
Yeah. Although apparently some aren't. But yeah.
Well.
Yeah. It's okay though. It's all in good fun. It's all part of the deal. Let's see. Also, this is from Jeff. I wanted to bring this up. Jeff says, why does it seem that Arkansas can only have one major sport have great success in a season? Can't wait for the day where we can hold our heads up with football, basketball, baseball all in one year. Well, Jeff, I'll say this. I know it's one example and you probably want more, but that 2021, 2022 year was pretty good for the 3 major sports. I mean, you went 9-4 in football, you went to the Elite 8 in basketball, and you went to the World Series. And that was all in 1 year. So I don't think it's out of just never happens. It's tough to win in all sports. Like how many schools out there in the 3 major sports, maybe Tennessee right now is probably the best in all 3 major sports, or at least high level. It's tough to do.
Even baseball now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already writing this year off, and we're going to have a Liberty Bowl victory, a Sweet 16, and a trip to Omaha. I mean, what do you guys want?
That's where I'm like, Arkansas is a lot closer to the top in that regard than I think they are. I mean, look, like what athletic department is just absolutely crushing it. Every school in the SEC, I feel like, sucks at one sport. And Arkansas, obviously, maybe might suck at football. But like pretty much every school in the SEC, like you could point to one sport and be like, oh, well, outside of that, they're good. Outside of that, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the 1 year thing, because there was always that way in like the 90s where it was like, oh, Arkansas is just good at basketball, but not good in football. And then the 2000s came and they were good in football, but not in basketball. And they just feel like there has to be a balance. It's like, it doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's just timing, just weird timing. Sometimes it just goes along with it. So
also, Evan, Florida, by the way, my entire life has always been the school that you point to when you're like, what's a school that's good at all 3? Yeah. They are it. They didn't win it all in the same year. So they won basketball in 05, 06 or 06, 07?
No, they won football and basketball only in the same year. I don't know if they did baseball, right. But football and basketball were in the same year.
Yeah. And then they won baseball in 2017, I think it was. So it's like they've won all 3, but never in the same year. But yeah, they had the back-to-back basketball mixed with football 1, 2 in like 4 years or whatever. So they had like a 3 or 4 year stretch where they were like, they had like 4 national titles in 3 years. Like that's crazy.
Florida's got 3 national championships in basketball in the past 25 years, and no other SEC school has multiple. In fact, only one other SEC school has 1, and that's Kentucky.
Hey, Florida baseball, by the way, I don't remember who it was on the show that was like they've cooled off. I'm like, they've not cooled off, bro. They're 12-3 in their last SEC games. They might win it in baseball, and then Billy Napier. I'm just saying.
You know what's funny, Andrew? This wasn't long ago that you and I were talking about this. It might have been as we were driving to Kansas City that day, actually. But we were talking about how Arkansas is facing these teams who were predicted to be really good and then underachieved, and then we're kind of getting hot at the right time. And we were talking about that Texas A&M series loss, and we were like, but it really feels like they're coming on. Like they really looked the part. Florida, though, man, I don't know, not really sold on those guys. Boy, was that a bad take? I think I'm the one that first put it out there, but
I felt the exact same way. I think on the show I even said I was like, I felt like Arkansas lost to a pretty good team against A&M. I don't feel like that against Florida. Boy, yeah, A&M. That was crazy. Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet, right? Maybe is that anybody's worst of the weekend? A&M getting swept by Missouri when they absolutely needed to win is one of the craziest things ever. That reminds me of like in the NFL playoffs where you have like a team that's 9-6 and they're playing a game against a team that's 3-13, and it's like they're resting their starters and you still lose. That is wild.
They might not win another game. That's so deflating. That coach has got to be out of there. I mean, right?
If they end up missing the tournament for real, I think you gotta exit.
Because like they'll need this. I don't know I have no idea who they play this coming weekend, but they almost need to sweep and then go do some
Georgia.
Yeah, well, yeah, they would need to. Then you do some real damage in Hoover, but they're screwed, man. I was looking at like their RPI and some different things, and I don't know.
Them in Virginia were number 1, number 2 preseason, and they are number 58 and number 59 in RPI today.
Wow.
Sheesh.
That's insane, man.
Yeah. A&M plays at Georgia to end the season. So
got to sweep.
Yep. Yeah. Good luck to that. But they are pretty awful. And I think that's one of the most surprising things to have that happen. But I was going to bring it up for worst of the weekend, but I got several of them. But sticking on to that, guys, I don't know if I've seen anything as bad as that because like, I don't think I've ever seen a team as bad as Missouri in the SEC in my life this year. And it's one thing to lose one game. It's another thing to lose the series. But you got swept by literally a team that's getting outscored not by 9 runs a game, it feels like. That's to me is a fireable offense. Like if I was the AD, I'd just be, all right, dude, nope, Wayne, this ain't it. This ain't it. Forget all the other stuff. It's done.
And they smacked them up.
Yeah.
In the last one. So
you got punked by Missouri baseball.
Yeah, like you let go of the rope. Like if you lose 10-1 to Missouri in a game 3 that you needed to win, you let go of the rope. Yeah, that's wild. It's funny. So apparently Missouri swept Florida last year in baseball. They showed that graphic after they won. They were like, this is their first sweep since last year. They swept the Jack Caglianone Florida team in 2021. I don't know if y'all remember this. Curtis, you might, because you were like kind of covering the baseball team that year. Arkansas and Mississippi State were neck and neck for SEC regular season title, and Arkansas had swept them. Mississippi State lost a series 2 out of 3 at home against Missouri, and it was like out of nowhere, and that's what like helped Arkansas clinch. And then Mississippi State obviously ended up winning the national title. I do not think A&M will get that same chance. It's just kind of crazy how Missouri they've won like 6 series in the last 3 years. All of them have been super consequential.
Crazy.
Yeah, that just was it in College Station too? Wasn't it in College Station?
Yeah.
Not many bubbles getting blown down there. I can tell you that. Sheesh, dude. That's brutal. But I have no sympathy. It's it is what it is. I mean, Arkansas would never lose to Missouri in sports. Come on now.
I was gonna say, but they is it worth them owning us in football? That although they were pretty good in basketball this year, but like, is it worth it?
No,
it's not.
You trade like a 14-16 Missouri baseball team for a football win?
No, I wouldn't.
All I need is we get to a point with basketball. It's crazy that we got to this point, but we were at the stage where we were like, if they just screw it, man, like just beat Kentucky somehow in Rupp with the way this year's gone, and like whatever, we'll take it and we'll move on to next year and pick up the pieces. If Sam Pittman beats Missouri next year, I don't care. They go 3-9, boys. As long as they beat that idiot drink, I'm on board. Bring him back, retain him. And that's not embracing mediocrity. It's beating somebody you don't beat that I'm very passionate about. Go take them down, man.
Wouldn't it be nice if Arkansas finished, if they were, I mean, I would say not, let me not say that. From a standpoint of like story wise, wouldn't it be kind of cool if Arkansas was 5-6 going into the Missouri weekend and it was like Sam Pittman, this is it? Because we always do the thing where we're always asking, what's it going to take for them to make the postseason? What's it going to take for them to fire Sam Pittman? If they're 5-6 going into that Missouri game, I feel like that's it, right? It's like when you're in.
Yeah. And I hope nobody's really taking me seriously, but wouldn't it be something, if Hunter was like, if he came out and said that, no AD would ever do that. But if it was like, hey, this is it, do or die.
I will respect the results of this duel.
Yep. That would, at this point, I don't even know like what would be. They say, oh, he would never do that. I don't know. Who knows?
They lift him up on their shoulders like Les Miles that one year.
Don't lose to Arkansas State. Don't lose to Memphis, and beat Missouri.
Yeah, man, what a great expectation this football program has become. Great, but yeah, as long as
Mediocrity Monday, boys.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mediocre Monday. Mediocre Monday is what we're doing here. So, jeez, man. But yeah, we'll get to more of your chats. We'll continue it on, but we are going to get into our best in. Well, actually, I didn't know. I don't want to do that. My bad. I wanted to do
background list. We're naked.
Yeah, I know. I had to feel it a little bit. Best and worst of the weekend. Not the week, the weekend. Presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. Why wait months or even years to sell your home the traditional way? Because at Looper Auction and Realty, they offer faster and smarter options. Because you can sell your home at auction with no repairs, no contingencies, no drawn out negotiations. You set the terms, buyers compete, and you walk away with a firm closing date. Whether it's your home, an estate, or an investment property, the auction method puts you in control and gets it sold fast. You can call Looper Auction Realty at 479-996-4848, or you can visit their website at looperauction.com. It's Looper Auction and Realty, sold in 30, closed in 30. All right, so getting to the best and worst of the weekend. I want to start with my best of the weekend because I found a video that apparently people were freaking out about, and even so much that his own son commented on it because it was great, and I'm so glad I stumbled upon it. Everybody, if you haven't seen it, here's John Calipari with a beard.
Pulling my best player aside, and I tell him, I got to coach you harder than everybody else here. If it gets too much, come and see me. We'll talk about it. But if I can coach you hard, I can coach everyone on our team hard.
You know what's funny?
We had Carl.
Actually, that's what he does. I don't even care what he says. I don't care. He's got a beard.
Perfect stopping point right there.
Yeah. Right there.
He looks tremendous.
Insane.
He looks great.
Like, do we have a definitive answer as to what this is? Is this what he looks like today? Is this what he looks like in 2021? Like, is this an old video? Is this AI? Do we have any answer as to what we are looking at right now?
I've narrowed it down to AI or COVID year. I saw a lot of people say that was a Cal in 2020 thing. So
I mean, it had to be. It had to be on that. But I don't know. I just saw this it was on Facebook of all places too. Cause it's stuff that's like, oh, for you or things you might be interested in. I see this. Like, I said, I beg your pardon. Like, when did he look like Pat Riley out here? Like that's the vibe he's giving us, a Pat Riley vibe.
I think he's got to roll with it. I did like 8 minutes about this on the Palace this morning because I couldn't get over it. And like the reactions, you mentioned Brad's thing on there. It was just hilarious. His quote tweet with you. I'm in. I'm all in for this. I don't think the misses is, because it's just never really been a look for him. So he might have been able to get away with it for a little bit. I don't know if this is going to be a thing. But I like the idea of changing the look. He's a silver fox, man. Yep. Looks good right there. I think it works especially with the little slick back hair. Somebody mentioned it in the chat just a minute ago, like the fade that he's got going on in there. I think it makes perfect sense with his, Italian tailored suits that he wears. I'm all for this. I am. I think it looks good.
I do too. And I looked it up to confirm it. He went on this How Leaders Lead podcast with David Novak back on November 19th of 2020. So it was the COVID stuff, which for some reason, but then I typed it in on Google, this exact clip popped up being shared on TikTok, Instagram, all that from the past 2 months. So something must have happened to resurface it and everyone was freaking out about it. But the actual podcast itself is from 2020. So There's your answer.
This is fantastic.
He looks great. He does look great. I mean, we might have to ask him about this the next time we see him. Like, hey, do you miss the beard days? Was that just like what led to that decision? Because it's fascinating. Because Cal's a guy that's been in the public life for 40 years. I've never seen him with a beard.
I believe
right here, the curl. Yeah, the curl going back there.
Gosh, that looks good, man. Yeah, that's well done. I think that Logan is going to one of the Razorback Roadshow things. I could be wrong. You got to get the mic, dude.
Somebody step up.
Somebody who's going to that, you've got to ask him about the beard. We just got to see what he says.
Yep. Screenshot this video or whatever, and then show it to him. See what it's going to take. What can he do? How can he bring it back? But
I know for sure that it's come to his attention now that like this has been circulating around again. Because like if Brad saw it, he immediately probably called him or texted him or whatever, and was like, "Yo, Pops." So he's aware of it. He's prepared for the question.
Is this the most Italian John Calipari has ever looked?
It might be.
It's up there, man. It's up there. I'd like to see the long hair without the beard. Kind of see what it looks like. But yeah, it's hard to beat. But either way, that was my one of my best of the weekends right there. Is just seeing that with Cal and a beard and long hair, because he has had the same haircut and the same approach, same look, literally his entire career. But that right there, he finally stepped out of his element and did a little bit different. So that was great and had to be my best.
Yeah, that's good. That was on my list. I had 3 today. That's one of them for sure, man. Just put a smile on my face, man. You love to see it. I've got a personal one and a sports one. Personal one's easy, obviously. The last time that we were on the show, it was right before we did our gender reveal down there in Virginia Beach. I'm sure most people saw on social media or if they listen to the pod. We are having a boy dad season. It's very exciting. Super, super pumped for that. And honestly, it was really weird. I thought we got duped. I really did. Cause we had the person who did our wedding cake, that's why we went there, made this gender reveal cake. This is like, all right, like we'll slice the cake and it'll either be blue or pink. And so we did it at the same time. It's like, oh, 3, 2, 1. And as we're slicing before the slice, falls over or whatever, like I can see down in there and I'm like, it's just cake. Like there's no like what the hell's going on here? I legitimately thought we got duped, but it was just a thin line right in the middle. So it was a job well done. I thought it was just like they just like colored the cake, you know what I mean? But it was a line of frosting in the middle that wound up being blue. So for half the slice, for like 2.5 seconds, I was thinking maybe they just don't know, or like maybe they're gender neutral or something crazy is going on right here. But it is a boy. That's very, very exciting. So that just coupled with honestly, Michelle, she's just, she's over the moon right now. She's growing and glowing is what I said on the pod. And she's doing so well, man. Hasn't missed a beat. She's in there, working out right now. It's unreal. I don't know how she does it. I'm exhausted, just thinking about becoming a father, and she's carrying that thing around right now and traveling everything, just absolutely killing it. So, that, and I do really appreciate, man, on the pod, the Palace that went out Saturday morning, the number of people who just commented, said really nice things, the support, the love, that was really, really awesome. And Michelle sat and she read every single one of those. She was crying at half of them. You guys really made her feel special. And I do appreciate that a ton.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You think if it would have,
I just wanted to play that.
Okay. You think if there would have been like if it would have been like triplets or something, there would have been 3 lines in the middle?
That would have been crazy.
That would have been something.
That would have been insane.
You were worried you didn't see 1 line. What if you had seen 3 and you're like, wait a minute.
Or what if there was like a blue, like a blue and a pink? It's like, oh,
yeah. Whoa, yeah, both. Okay. Yeah, that would have been crazy. But man, that's awesome stuff, man. I'm excited for y'all. Was happy. I'm also happy. I'm proud of myself. At no point during this whole process, pre-pregnancy, post-pregnant, or I guess during it, whenever the announcements and all that, I have not spoiled anything. You've
done a great job.
Confidence, and I have not blabbed even to the ones I love the most. And so I like that. Curtis, we've got a name suggestion here, and it ties in perfectly to my best of the weekend. Jack Della Maddalena Wilkerson.
Hey, listen, I mean, given the circumstances, we really have to, it's going on the list. Honorable mention.
For those that want to know what Jack Della Maddalena, want to know what work he did this weekend, he did this work this weekend. He captured the UFC welterweight title, knocking off Bilal Muhammad, who left it bloodied and battered. John, you like that?
Oh yeah, that just really gets me going.
Really gets you going there. I feel bad for Bilal Muhammad a little bit because he's a guy that people call him the most boring UFC champion ever. He gets all kinds of hate for just being cringy and all that. And this was the most exciting fight Bilal's ever been in his life, and it just happened to be that he was on the losing end of it. But I thought both men showed up great. It was a freaking awesome fight. The UFC card, I guess it was 315 in Montreal, was a great event. Curtis, you remember our guy Mike Malott bounced back with a huge knockout win. How about that?
He didn't have to gas out in that one. Yeah.
Jose Aldo retired. It was just a fun night of fights. Me personally, also, this was coming right after Arkansas got run ruled, so I was. We went right to the casino as one normally does. And we had a fun time at the casino at the LaBerge Casino. They have a nice little sports book there, had the fights on. I had a really good Saturday night that ended at about 4:15 a.m.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, I assume he got hit in the face, and that's why his lip looked like that.
He got hit in the face a lot, yeah. It was great.
Assumption.
He was sturdy and durable, though. He was tough. He didn't quit.
Yeah, I probably would have, but that would look gruesome. But I will say another best of the weekend. I have, and I muted this, so hopefully it doesn't get us demonetized or anything like that. But I love whenever they have selection Sunday, selection Saturday, selection Monday, all that stuff when it comes to NCAA tournament. We know it's mainly for basketball is what you think of, but they do it for baseball. They'll have it here in a couple of weeks, and they'll do it for softball too. Well, they always have the cameras that are on the team whenever they find out who they're going to be playing, and everyone celebrates and claps or golf claps or whatever it is. But sometimes it's always wondered, like, man, what about the matchup? Do they ever hate it? Do they ever get mad about it? Well, we had that over the week because Oklahoma, who is a juggernaut in the game of softball, they got matched up against Boston University. And, I'll just have you guys watch this and see exactly how they reacted once they got the matchup. They go over to Boston U's team, and here's how they react.
Surrender Cobra's like crazy.
And then you got the one little girl trying to be like, yeah, let's cheer. That right there, like, I don't want to pause it right there where it's just, I mean, I have wanted one of those reactions to happen in basketball, in men's basketball sometime, because it's like, but I think most of the time in basketball, if you're one of those 16 seed teams, you're going to be a 16 seed. So you're going to go up against a 1 seed. So it's not like you can be like, no, because you're going to be going up against 16. But in baseball and in softball, it's about the regional you're put in. And it's like you can maybe avoid getting put into the regional, especially with so dominant of a team like Oklahoma. But shout out to the Boston U Terriers softball team for being completely honest with their reaction of being like, oh gosh, like they probably thought maybe we get the right matchup, we can upset somebody. Who knows? Maybe they still do. But I appreciate their honesty and their honest reaction in real time of Surrender Covering on national TV as they found out they have to play the Oklahoma Sooners in softball. That's just magical.
I blame the head coach here. You have to say something to your team. I mean, one, you kind of know you're going to be a 4 seed, right? Like, I mean, I'm assuming they had a decent idea. You're happy to make the tournament. You have to say, look, we're playing someone good. Golf clap when they show our name up there. There's a TV on us. We're on television. Just golf clap. We'll talk about it after, but just clap.
Yeah. Maybe they just had never been in a selection show before and they didn't know what to do. Maybe they were just new to it.
Seen that in basketball? I've never seen a team react like, because you usually do get the no react. Like if a team's not going to react, they'll just kind of, and then you have the teams going crazy. Have you ever seen a team outright be upset?
No. Yeah, definitely not a 16, that's getting a 1 or whatever. Like John said, they usually know. I guess if you kind of feel like you're going to be a 4 seed, you got several different options where you could wind up falling there. But no, I've seen some teams kind of like a mellowed out. Sometimes it's like right after, because they finish some of these conference tournament games, and then the selection show is like 30 minutes later. Like for the AAC or the Big Ten or whatever, those end, you get right into it. So you might have just lost your conference title game and you're upset, and then you see it and you're just like, oh, okay, cool. Or somebody who feels like they got screwed on their seeding or something like that. And it might just kind of be a subdued reaction. But no, I've never seen anything like that where you see who you're playing, your opponent, and you're just like, damn, that's brutal.
That's my worst. So, or my final best. Gersh, you said you had a few. Did you have any more best?
Oh, I had one more best. This time last week, I was giving the Cardinals. Actually, I made them a heavy hitter because they just continue to beat Paul Skeens. And but what I said at the time was like, hey, their wins over Paul Skeens are like half of their wins this season. They have not lost a baseball game since I said that. They've been on a freaking roll, man. Couple sweeps in a row. They've won 8 straight. They're a game out of first place in the NL Central. So I got to give credit where it's due. The Cardinals have been balling, man. The rotation's been great. The bullpen hasn't given up an earned run in like 11 days or something. Top 5 in OPS in the month of May. So they're cooking. It's pretty exciting to see a little bit of life put back into this franchise, this organization. I don't know how long it's going to last. Like I don't think that they're going to cook all year. I probably wouldn't expect them to make the playoffs. I don't think they have enough depth in their pitching and everything, but it is good to see people have a little bit of a reason or some excitement to go to Busch Stadium for a change. It's been a few years since that's been the case.
I don't think I have any more best, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay, well, go ahead and knock out your worst because I want to save my worst for last.
Okay, this is gonna be a tough one for me to show without sounding like a homer, without sounding like a hater, without sounding like I'm salty because Arkansas lost to LSU. But of course, Jay Johnson gets ejected yesterday. And before I even talk about this, I got to just say the LSU fan base is the worst fan base in sports. They are the worst group of human beings. I just hate them, and like that's and look, some of my best, the people I love most in the world are LSU grads, LSU fans. I'm buddies with some people that played. Shout out the Rangers fans. Shout out to Josh Smith. That's my guy. He's a great guy. There are good people that go to LSU, but as a community, LSU fans are the worst. And I feel like they will not see the kingdom of heaven. But most importantly, Jay Johnson is a coach that's fun to root against. Like Schlossnagel is a great coach that's fun to root against. Jay Johnson, I think, is a great coach that's fun to root against. He does the long game thing. He's like taking his time, going to the mound visits, stalling he does all this stuff, even in a game that starts at 10 p.m. But he gets ejected on Sunday. I really don't understand what the controversy is here. And he had been warned for arguing balls and strikes. By the way, I'm gonna mute this so while I play it here. John, you're gonna have to make us big here. But okay.
Nickel for every time I heard that.
I think I've got to move this back here. Okay. I mean, so the ball's a foot inside. Ball 4. And Jay Johnson comes out of the dugout to argue balls and strikes.
That guy's fired
That
up.
dude's mad, bro. He's madder than Jay.
But okay. You're not allowed to I'm not trying to be like a narc here. You're not supposed to argue balls and strikes as a coach. Like that's a thing you're not supposed to do. Obviously, everyone does it at some point. But it's like not, and that's the thing. They kind of have to draw that line where you can't just be every time there's a ball like, oh, come on, they really don't want that to be a thing. Jay had gotten a warning earlier in the game for like, hey, you're getting a little chatty. Don't argue balls and strikes. He gets out a little notepad. He writes down his thing or whatever. So for then you to come out of the dugout to argue a ball that was a foot inside and be going crazy, I don't know. I feel like that kind of warranted an ejection. No,
he did flinch though. he was right that the dude flinched, but yeah.
But okay, the pitch also almost got by the catcher.
Like he got crossed up or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did he flinch because there was a 96 mile an hour fastball coming at him?
From what I saw, like he had the finger out, like he was
ready to ring the guy up.
Yeah, it looked like to me, and so he was right in saying that. But you're right, like you can't do that, and he had already gotten the warning, and then he was very clearly doing it again, and he was calling him out, the ump, for something that he literally just did, so it probably pissed him off. Like it was the easiest ejection in history. Ejection in history.
And look, umps do the thing a lot where they're kind of butthurt, like they know they missed a call, so they'll eject the guy when he gets chatty or whatever. And I hate to make it this way, but it's like when the pitch is obviously a ball, it kind of makes it a little bit tougher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I think ejections sometimes are warranted, sometimes they're not. Maybe he was just wanting to get thrown out. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like if you're going to go out though, do it on a better, more controversial call, I guess is my thing. It's like, if you're going to die on a hill, die on one that's like, you're like, okay, enough of this nonsense. I just didn't know if that one was the one.
And also, if you're going to go out, make a big scene, go kick dirt on the guy, go get in his face or whatever. He left the dugout, but then didn't go all the way out. So it's like he went far enough to where he would get ejected, but didn't get in the guy's face. I just feel like he could not have handled the situation worse.
Yeah,
I feel like if you want to argue, you want to do whatever, like do what you got to do. But it's like I felt like in that situation, given the context of everything that led up to it, I thought it actually like kind of the ump had no choice but to eject him, right?
yeah, and yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. He didn't get his money's worth. Like you didn't even get the ejection bump of like firing up your team because it was just awkward the way the whole thing went down. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that for sure.
What's your worst, Curtis?
I don't really have one. Yeah,
Really?
I don't really have a lot of worst. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if this is the worst of the weekend, but it's just something I noticed that I'm not crazy about. Because I wound up watching quite a bit of softball this weekend out of, happenstance and everything. And I know a lot of people did. Hey, it's, the SEC tournament and, they were playing Oklahoma. Like there was a lot going on there. But I do get it just, I'm not crazy about the whole deal where there's a lot of people who spend a ton of time like soapboxing for something. It's like you trying to grow the game, right? Like you got to pay attention to, so we get it all the time in here and it's cool, man. I love it. And I'm really happy for what the softball program's doing. I think it's awesome. Courtney Deifel's great. Briellis, legit. That's all great. But people always do. It's like, hey, you need to give more attention to this, more attention to that. People need to watch. People need to go to the games. And then as soon as you do, and people become invested and they start treating it like they do any other sport, and they might have a criticism or a, damn, that sucked the way that ended, or, why did they pitch to the chick or whatever. And then those same people immediately start coming at you. Tell me you don't watch softball without telling me you don't watch softball. And, oh, well, it must be your first game. That kind of stuff. It turns people off and it turns them away. So it's like counterproductive to your entire goal. You've been spending the entire season, you know what I mean? Trying to do the thing where it's like, hey, watch it, pay attention to us. This is awesome. And then when people get invested in it and they react emotionally, which is what you do as a fan, and people are automatically, yeah, we don't need you around here. That kind of stuff does bother me. I saw way too much of that this weekend.
Yeah. No, that was a good one. I think it's just dumb. I mean, social media got pretty dumb over the weekend as it is, and it's usual. But yeah, that was something that also like there's a good one because it bothered me too. Where I'm like, listen, if you want people to watch a sport, then they're going to treat it as the same sport because it's still like, for instance, the Razorbacks. They're going to treat it as if it was a Razorback football or baseball or basketball. They're going to be just as passionate, and then when they win, it's going to be great. When they lose, they're going to get frustrated. But yeah, you can't just be like, you can't try to turn people away and try to turn people off because it's like, you know what, you're caring too much, you're being too critical, so therefore you're dumb. It's an arrogance thing because we know that's been another thing of approaching people with arrogance of like, okay. Oh, tell me you haven't watched before. And it's like, okay, well, tell me why I should keep watching if I have to deal with you jerks all the time. Like, I don't want to deal with that. Just let the person, let them do what they want to do and say what they want to say as long as they're watching, and who cares in the end.
We also just need to get over like where like we want everyone to agree with us. And it's on both sides where if you think, the baseball or softball team sucks, you're mad at anyone who thinks they're good. And if you think they're good, you're mad at anyone who thinks they suck, which I get in theory, but it's like we kind of have to stop policing just people's opinions. My thing, and look, and I get in arguments on Twitter. I've had an uptick here lately where I'm getting in I cut myself off 2 weeks ago. I was like, I'm done arguing on Twitter. I can't stop. I love it. But I always try to respond with just, hey, you think this is a bad decision? Well, I think it's a good decision, and here's why. Like, I embrace debate. Like, and I feel like that's cool, and we can do that. I hate when people do the gatekeeping of like, you shouldn't be watching, or we don't need you and all that. And it's like, that's a little bit weird. And again, like you said, Curtis, it's like, you want people to pay attention to your team or not. I want people to pay attention to baseball, but I want them to pay attention to what I think matters and have actual opinions where, shitting on Aiden Jimenez and all that, and Dave for using them and all that is all a separate thing. But yeah, I thought it was weird, the gatekeeping of the sports. Did y'all see the hog pen discourse this weekend as well?
I did see some of that. Yeah, I saw some of that.
What now?
I'll just ask you this, John, in theory. Do you think the hog pen was in its purest? Is it meant, like the function of the hog pen, is it meant to be for students to be like basically a student section?
I mean, that's always the assumption I was under, like when it first got created. But I mean, I thought that it was also just like for people who just wanted to bring beer in. I thought it was just something that, was built for somebody to bring beer in, I guess is what it became. But in its origin, I think it was, yes, for the students.
And I think that's what the discourse was, is there were people that were like, hey, the random guys, showing up and sprinting to their things or whatever, they are kind of taking it away from what it was meant to be. To which I say, like, it's kind of fair game, though. You know what I mean? Like, the rules of the Hogman are whatever. And I don't really go out there, so I'm not qualified to speak on what exists out there. But I think there's a lot of people who feel like it's been like kind of taken from the students. And so there's like now former students who are like urging the students to like take back your hog pen.
Which is that what's going on here? Okay.
Yeah. Take back, reclaim the hog pen.
Where did this all start? Like what? I don't know the origin of it. I just saw it's
been bubbling for a while.
Okay.
I think it was Big Pig ASAP who was like, y'all ruined a tradition.
Well, that's what I saw. I didn't know if there was something before that or if he was just like, screw it, I'm going.
And people were like, what tradition? He's like, well, we used to have this cool thing where students could go and get drunk in left field, and now it's overrun by 60-year-old people.
I just I'm the bad guy that ever comes out and says, hey, the hog pen's ridiculous. And it's just, these are the reasons why. It's because they're just fighting over nonsense and stupid stuff like this. It's just like, what's going to end up happening, you jamokes, is that you're going to end up getting it all taken away. Like the U of A or whoever's going to be like, all right, we're done with this nonsense of you guys fighting, getting in these arguments, the reliability. Here it is. It's taken away. None of y'all can have it. And everyone's going to be like, what? It's going to be like separating two brothers going at it as kids that keep fighting. And your parents are like, all right, so you're fighting over the gaming system. All right, none of it for either of you. And we're like, oh, well, what? When they try to explain it, like, y'all are going to end up costing yourselves if you're not careful. So just, jeez, man.
Well, it's funny. There's a lot of unwritten rules of the hog pen. You know what I mean? I think that's really what it is. And so it's like, and look, again, I don't think none of us three like ever really spend time out there. So I don't know if we really even qualified to speak on it, but it's like, it seems like it's a war that's been waging for a decade now. But I do want to respond to this comment from WKRP that says baseball has more informal rules than any other sport. I think this is talking about the Jay Johnson thing. That wasn't an unwritten rule. That is a, like, you can come out of the dugout to argue a safer out call because that's a reviewable thing. And, the umpires can confer and they can change their call. Same with football and all that. Arguing balls and strikes is like a thing that you're not supposed to come out of the dugout to do. It's just that's not an unwritten rule. That is a rule. And so when Jay Johnson left the dugout, that was like the umpire, like that was him basically telling the umpire to eject him, especially because he had been warned earlier in the game, which he argued and was like, I wasn't warned. I mean, he was warned. Yeah, that's not an unwritten rule. That's just like you're not supposed to do that. And so it's like when he do that, it's almost like in basketball. Like if you can say a certain thing to get a T, it's like you say the thing almost knowing there's a T coming after this.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, because I'm apparently keeping with the theme here. My worst of the weekend, real quick. I'm going to play this one on mute too. Tennessee lost the series to Vanderbilt. And there was some fireworks at the end of the game, as you can imagine. I know it's shocking, stop traffic, but there was some. I wouldn't call it bench clearing because the bench is already clear because the game was over. But either way, there was some chirping. And anytime we play Tennessee, it gets to that point. But I want to play this video right here. Okay, I want to be this. Listen, I'm all about fun and games. I like the bat flips and all that stuff. But I'm like, can we stop with this, dude? Like, we have to stop with this. And Tennessee fans especially get so fired up because they're like, of course, I tweeted about it and I got called every name in the book. It's like they're looking for stuff for people to say. But it's like, listen, I'm all about pimping home runs and everything, but do it with your team. Like, look at it and bat flip it to them and stuff. But when you do that, I just couldn't believe they're like, hey, we issued warnings here. No, throw somebody out. And if you're not going to throw somebody out, guess what's going to happen, or at least what should happen, is that pitcher next time that guy goes up is a 98-mile-an-hour fastball right in the rib cage. It's like, if you're not going to police it, then someone's got to police it. But I get about having fun. I get about getting things fired up. But, you mentioned it in basketball, Andrew. It's not like there's a technical that can happen and you go, okay, technical fouls, free throws, we get the possession. There's none of that. It's just warnings, which end up really not equating to anything. So I don't know. Maybe if you want to do something for real about it, say, hey, okay, well, if somebody does something, the next time they're up to bat, it counts as an out or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I just get sick of that stuff all the time. And then if anybody ever criticizes it, Tennessee fans get so fired up and start saying it. But I'm like, you know what? You guys are the same people that talk about how great it is and all of that. But yet, if that Vanderbilt pitcher just threw one right to the dome of that guy the next at bat, they're back, just no place in the game for this. It's just like, throw him out.
He would have got ejected most likely.
Yeah. Or then when they lose the series at home and then their little butts are hurt when Vanderbilt's chirping back at them some, like is what happened at the end of the game. So, Yeah. Why is it that every single series that involves Tennessee, there's like this odd tension? I wonder why that is.
It's a mystery.
It's annoying, man. And I'm very, very big on the, like, we talked about the unwritten rules of baseball and everything. I'm with you, man. Like, yeah, pimp the home runs, celebrate a strikeout, whatever. But there's still a line that probably doesn't need to be crossed there. And they live on that line, man. Every single pitch of every single game. I'm telling you right now, don't bring that energy to bomb this weekend. Don't do it. And it's not like we'll kick your ass. No, nothing like that. They will kick your ass on the field in a game of baseball. Like, did you see what happened to Texas when Arkansas was fired up and rallied and their fan base was into it? They were a freaking buzzsaw at home last weekend. If Tennessee comes in there cocky and chirping and Vitello's running his mouth and the players, are pimping solo home runs when they're down or whatever, don't piss off the pig, man, because they will sweep you right out of there. They'll do it.
I like that, Curtis. I like that a lot. And really, the ultimately, all it comes down to is if you're going to dish it, you have to be able to take it. You cannot get mad at Vanderbilt for waiting till they won the series and won the game to celebrate. Vanderbilt did what they were supposed to do, man. They took care of business, and Tennessee got butthurt about it. Like, I'm not even on the side of like, hey, you got to eject the guy, you got to do all that. I just think look, I'm all for celebrating. I'm all for standing over the guy when you dunk on him. I'm all for, firing up the crowd after you strike the guy out. I'm all for pimping home runs. But you just cannot be, you can't be surprised if they throw at you. And I think if they throw at you, by the way, you should maybe even taunt them even more then and kind of be like, you're going to put me on base just because you're so pissed off I'm dunking on you. Like, that's the way to go about it. You can't be butthurt when teams dish it back to you. And that's really my big issue with the whole thing. Like, and I agree, Tennessee, relax a little bit. And I think when Tony V's the head coach at Arkansas, he'll be a little bit more toned down.
Yeah, he'll chill it out because he doesn't have to do that. He'll just be winning championships, but they don't have to, do that when he gets to Arkansas. But but that's the main thing is like obviously the ejection part of it. The only reason I'm saying ejection is because that's the only form of like punishment or consequence that can happen. If they put in something that was like a technical, like, hey, you get an out the next time or whatever, then do that too and not eject him. It's just, if you want this out of your game, if you want to stop having these issues and end up having to suspend people or eject people or whatever it is, then find some way to do it, because it just cracks me up. Warnings are like, it's like the movie Dodgeball when they do a cheap shot and he pulls out a little rope. He's like, that's a warning. It's like, yeah, what did that do though? Nothing. Like, nobody cares about warnings. No one does anything. That doesn't change anything. So either way, I can't wait for Tennessee to come down. I'm sure it'll be not lively at all and won't have any energy behind it.
So much fun.
Man, it's going to be intense. So, but let's go ahead. We'll get to your chats, folks, before we close up shop, as well as some other things too, presented by our friends over at BetSaracen. Download the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's #1 for a reason, because it is the best. And we want to be the best here at Inside Arkansas. You want to be the best at sports betting, so do it with the best app. And it's BetSaracen. You can also download it on your iPhone or on your Android. And you can visit BetSaracen.com to get to betting that way as well. But a few of your chats, folks, we'll get to. Quinn appreciated all of this super chats, man. He's like, Ike Irish said after we beat them that Liam Doyle running his mouth to Chris Rimbert first pitch of the game pissed them off and wanted to beat them even more. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, like sometimes you need to like outwardly project that type of energy to like talk yourself into it to really get yourself going. But it also has the opposite effect sometimes. Like if you tick off your opponent, and that's what I'm not afraid. I kind of hope they do it to Arkansas. I mean, I was blown away with the different level of intensity. I know you don't hear that phrase a lot with baseball, but Arkansas was dialed in, man. They were fired up. They were intense. They were passionate for that Texas series. And I just have a feeling that there's no way that Tennessee is going to be able to avoid it with the way that they act. So they're probably going to get Arkansas's best. And when that pitching staff for the Razorbacks, it was especially them, man. Root, Gage Wood was going crazy out there. You're going to get the fired up Hogs, and they're so freaking talented that if you've got them a little bit amped up, you better watch out, man.
Yeah, and that's just if you're Liam Doyle or if you're whoever, you got to be prepared for that. You need to be approaching each week like that. And by the way, that's the correct way to approach sports, is expecting your opponent's best shot, expecting all that, expecting to see the best version, the most motivated version, all that. And so that's why I'm kind of on the side of like, all this makes the games better, but you just have to be prepared for that. And for Arkansas, they're going to be fired up to face, because Liam Doyle, by the way, might be, I mean, he's the best pitcher in the SEC, in my opinion, probably the best pitcher in the country, might be the first pitcher in the draft taken. Arkansas is going to be like dialed in and focused to face a guy like that anyway. So if you have that guy chirping you, and it's Tony V, and it's Tennessee, and it's a crazy crowd, and it's going to be the last home series, and you feel like you're coming off a bad series loss, like you're ready to, you're motivated anyway. I think all the ingredients would point to Arkansas being very motivated, particularly in that first game Friday night, Doyle versus Root. I'm already excited for that one. I guess it'll be Thursday.
Yeah, and I'll also say too, like I know they're probably going to be doing a little bit of their chirping and stuff, but I'm just telling you, every single time that I've seen Arkansas and Tony V and Tennessee play each other since that 2021 fiasco at the end, not only has Dave won every game, I believe, not saying it'll happen for sure that way this year, but also the chirping and the showboat and all that was a lot less against Arkansas than it was against other teams. And I think Tony V, because it's going to be his next place, he doesn't want to piss off the fans too much. He knows it's going to be his next head coaching job.
On a very serious note, Tony V does have an incredible amount of respect for Dave. And obviously after 2021, he's more conscientious. He's not going to he doesn't want to see that version of Dave. And I'm not saying that means he's scared of him. He likes Dave. They're friends. He respects him. He doesn't want to offend Dave. And I think he's very aware of that. And so I think he probably tells his team, hey, I know we're a bunch of douchebags, but let's maybe tone it down just a little bit. And to your point, Arkansas's been whipping that ass. Ain't been much to celebrate whenever they've been playing they've been playing Arkansas.
Yep. I can't wait, man. It's going to be great. Also, Jeff brought this up. He says, John, what about the Texas freshman acting foolish on his walk, being down eight runs in the game? Yeah. Well, here's the thing is, Razorback fans, he was the one that was chirping with Razorback fans in the dugout and everything, because he's that 5-star safety that plays football. Yeah. Yeah. And talking about his NIL and everything. Not justifying it. I thought it was stupid, but at the same time, he's a football player. By trade, he's a freshman. He likes to talk. Maybe that's how he gets himself motivated. I'm not saying it's right, but I mean, that's how I took it, is that's just how he, in his own mind, tries to get, motivated and all that. But yeah, taking a walk when you're down like 7 runs, probably not the time you want to be doing something like that. Again, timing's everything. Just was weird.
Schwarzenegger defended it, and he was like, I want my players like that. He's like, I want my guys to be playing with that much energy at any moment in the game. He's trying to fire us up and all that. Remember that name, Jonah Williams, for football season, whenever Raylan Sharp cooks. I'm sorry.
Stop, man. Come on now.
That's outrageous, bro.
Move on. You're such a jerk. Couldn't even make it through this sentence you were trying to say. That's terrible. Let's see. Also, golly. From Tamra. She said, it stinks they canceled championship and named co-champs Oklahoma and Texas A&M. I forgot about this, and I saw your chat. Yeah, that was in softball pretty weak. It's pretty lame.
I hope that happens to Arkansas in baseball this year.
Stop.
Save us the arms. Save the arms.
Dude, I guess, but what else do you do?
Arkansas and Tennessee co-SEC tournament champions.
That'd be good.
How would that settle?
Dave and Tony just holding the trophy together like Kobe and Shaq did, and sharing the MVP of the All-Star.
The umpire holds both their arms up. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that would be just the photo of the year right there. That would be great. Let's see. Also, David says, Andrew, is Dietz only going to be a bullpen arm?
I mean, listen, I would probably expect that for the remainder of this season. Now, he is a guy that, as he was throwing so well when he first got to campus, there was absolutely talk of him possibly being a weekend starter. He has that type of capability. He might have the best stuff on the team. Like, that is not an exaggeration at all. Stuff looked pretty damn good the other day. He was touching 98. He honestly, Helfrich screwed him and gave him an earned run, which Helfrich didn't get charged with an error. I thought about, I'm not even joking, calling the LSU SID and seeing if he could change that and give Helfrich an error, because I didn't think Dietz deserved the earned run. But I don't know how many pitches he threw the other day. Was it like 16? I don't think they're going to have a pretty large workload for him anytime soon. But going into next year, I think he very well could be in the mix for a weekend rotation spot if all goes well. I think if you're Arkansas, if you can get 1 or 2 innings out of him each week, you'll be gravy. Don't want to risk it with an arm like that. And good to see him back in action, man. I look forward to seeing him this weekend at Bomb.
Let's see. Shout out to Quinn. I know he's talking about these things during the show, but we appreciate the super chats, Quinn. But he says Mizzou humiliated them in their own building, embarrassing for A&M. Yeah, no, that might be one of the worst SEC losses of any sport I can ever remember ever. Like, I mean, that's bad to lose 3 at home. It's like 1, hey, things happen, but 3 at home against that team that's barely high school level. That's tough. Also, Quinn says, imagine if y'all lose to Arkansas State and Memphis. I don't want to imagine it, Quinn. So
we're not imagining that.
Yeah, you can.
We're not doing that, Quinn.
Imagine,
come on.
How about you imagine my fist hitting your face, Quinn? How about that?
Yeah, it's not. That's not. Hey, you don't want to talk to Quinn like that.
I know. He's going to bring the smoke.
He's going to be here.
Yeah, he's going to be here. Well, I'm just trying to get him here for the Auburn football game this upcoming season. So whatever it takes.
What if they split?
They split?
Yeah.
No.
Arkansas State and Memphis?
Yeah.
No. That'd be awful.
It's not good. What are you talking
about? Arkansas owns the Liberty Bowl. Okay.
What if they split? Get out of here. Come on now, man.
Split. Yeah, we ain't playing that game. Let's see. David says if we get to 10K subs, the chat gets to choose the name of your child, Curtis.
I mean, they're going to get to 10K subs like today or tomorrow.
We've been waiting on y'all for feels like a minute.
I know.
Yeah. I guess these guys are already subscribed. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, and how many people are listening right now, whatever, everybody, if I guarantee you there's at least 12 people listening that are not subscribed. If those 12 go subscribe, we'll be there by the end of the night.
Yep. Simple as that.
I dare you.
Also, Seth wants to know how's my hat collection coming along, LOL. Well, you see it as I'm wearing the same 2 hats every time. So, yeah, it'll get there. Don't worry. But I appreciate it. Rutabaga says we need don't piss on the off the pig merch. Don't piss off the pig merch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Honestly, thought about doing never mind, I'm not gonna say it. I'll tell it off the air. Let's see, don't open that can of worms. I want to read this by Finch, and I hated seeing this, Finch, but it says, congrats to Curtis and Michelle. Unfortunately, I ended up unexpectedly losing my 12-year-old black female lab yesterday with her head in my lap. I've looked forward to the show to help me get my mind off that. Well, hopefully we did a good enough job in helping you with that, man. That's awful. We hate that for you. That's just heartbreaking, but hopefully you're doing all right. Cause we've had pets. I know Curtis has a dog. I have a dog, and it's just different, man. So we hate hearing that, and hopefully everything goes okay, and hopefully you're able to move through that, dude. Because I can't even imagine. I don't even want to imagine. So we hate that.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, buddy.
Yeah, but we appreciate you, Finch. Also, on another note too, hopefully you know what this means. Curtis Hunt OZK says, Curtis, try the black cherry Zevia if not already. What's that?
I've got the little variety pack. I've tried the black cherry. It's good. It's good.
Okay. Is it like an energy drink? What is it? I don't even know.
It's a sugar-free soda.
Oh, what's the point then?
It just tastes good.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. It's a good point. Also, I meant to mention this from Quinn too. He says, you haven't been around Bammers or Georgia fans enough, Andrew. So
no, this is fair. Bama fans, I feel like, are the ones that you hear about a lot. I seriously have not been around a ton of Alabama fans. They probably would give them a run for their money, but I don't know, man. That there's a lot of like horrible stuff that happens on that LSU campus, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I think that every fan base in the SEC has their own bad apples. Some just more so than others, but it's just a matter of who you run into and everything. But I feel like if you're an Auburn fan, it's always you're always Bama's the worst because it's just it.
Those would be the 2 fan bases you would list, right?
Yes, you would have to be. It'd have to be. So, well, fellas, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Don't piss off the pig. Don't doubt the snout.
Wow, that was good.
That is good. I'm write that one down. Yeah.
My final thought is I tweeted this at like 1 a.m. last night. I can't stop thinking about Omaha, man. I'm so excited about it, and I'm excited to be there with both of you guys. John, the chat may not know this, but me and John became friends in Omaha. Our friendship was founded in Omaha, pretty much. And Curtis, I've not gotten to explore that with you. We'll see how long we're able to get you for. Maybe one weekend. Maybe you come for the championship series. I don't know, but I look forward to us having a nice a drink or two at DJ's dugout. I can't wait, man. It's gonna be exciting, and can't wait to see all the Hog fans there as well.
Yeah, it's completely and totally not going to be a bleep show of heat and exhaustion and disgusting sweat going everywhere, but that's okay. It's gonna be great though when it happens for
Don't
sure.
doubt the snout, man. That was good.
That is good. Yeah, we're gonna write all these down. See, t-shirt ideas. We're on top of it. We're creative. We can do things. So, but hey, that does it for us though here at Inside Arkansas. We appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in. Be sure to subscribe to us at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page because, as noted, we're almost to 10K subs. May have a party, maybe a pizza party like back in the day in elementary school. You know, maybe do one of those. You won't be invited, but we'll have one ourselves. But no, we'll have some fun stuff for you once we get to 10K subs. So be sure to subscribe. Check out all of our audio podcasts wherever they're found. It's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, as well as the Bombastic Podcast. Check us out on social media, Inside Arkansas. Check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks. We'll keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel, tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.